A Summary of the Red Headed League by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Chapter 1. One day, Dr. Watson visited his friend Sherlock Holmes at his home in London. When he arrived, Sherlock Holmes was talking to a man in his living room. The man's name was Mr. Jabez Wilson. Mr. Wilson knew that Holmes was a famous detective who could solve crimes, and he wanted him to solve a mystery. While Mr. Wilson was talking, Holmes did him carefully. He looked at Mr. Wilson's face, his hands, and his clothes. He worked out that Mr. Wilson used to be a labourer, that he visited China in the past, and that he did a lot of writing. When Sherlock Holmes told Mr. Wilson this information, he was very surprised, because everything Sherlock Holmes said was true. Mr. Wilson decided that Holmes must be a wonderful detective. Mr. Wilson started telling Holmes his story. He had a small shop in London where he worked with his assistant, Vincent Spalding. Not many people visited Mr. Wilson's shop, and he wasn't a rich man. One day, Mr. Spalding showed him an advert in the newspaper for a job with the Red Headed League. The Red Headed League found jobs for men with red hair. Mr. Spalding wanted Mr. Wilson to ask about the job because Mr. Wilson had red hair, and the job was only a few hours a week. The money could really help Mr. Wilson,